What's going on, everybody? This is Dante Carter right here on Beyond the Brand, and we're going live from my living room. But look, it's the holiday season. I wish you all the best of holidays. We're here right now with my boy, Scotty Smart. Scotty, what is going on? How you doing?
What's going on, Dante? Thank you for having me.
Loosen up, man.
I'm already loose, man.
I'm just picking with you. Man, I'm just really excited. When we came out for the turkey drive, when I came out with Griggs and I saw what y'all were able to do, and I didn't even realize that the day before y'all had given out over 100 turkeys too. But that day that I was actually there, y'all had given out 515 turkeys.
Yeah, well, no, the day before Thanksgiving, which was that Wednesday,
Oh, I'm sorry, the day
we gave
before
out
Thanksgiving.
100 more after that
So
first.
y'all gave out 615 turkeys.
Yep. Yeah, man. We just try to do what we can in the community. The first event was put on with the NAACP, Commissioner Larry Johnson, Hug Life Cares.
Yeah.
That was the 7th annual turkey drive. So that's something we do every year at South DeKalb Mall. It's been a trademark within the community over the last 7 years. We've been able to get better and better every year. So we did 515 at that event. And then a personal friend of mine, the rapper that goes by the name of Trouble, he woke up Wednesday and felt like doing some giving back for the community. And so we made some phone calls, picked up some turkeys, and we went and did some hand-to-hands where we didn't have an event going on, but we went to different locations,
Yeah.
different gas stations and different hoods around Atlanta and just try to help the people that were in that last minute looking for turkey situation.
So you got to tell me about this, right? Because I see the things that you're doing, and I see just how focused you are and how intentional you are about giving back. I see the things that you've created. Excuse me. You've created the Smart Foundation. Tell us about the Smart Foundation, what the goal of the Smart Foundation is, and where was it birthed from?
Okay, couple different answers in there. Main goal of the Smart Foundation, for one, when I came up with the name, it was to brand intelligence back into our culture. I felt like a lot of times kids who are intelligent get picked on, get bullied and things like that. And so I wanted to embrace our intelligence a little bit more and not deflect on to the negativity and the ignorance that the media portrays our culture to have. So I want to build a brand that it embraced intelligence. That was the first thing when I came up with the name. Now our goal as far as what we do, we try to really impact the low income areas. We try to make sure that the kids who don't have anything get the same opportunities. You know, I feel like it's a lot of talent within our hoods, within our ghettos in America, and I feel like the only reason why they don't get to be as successful is because they don't have those same opportunities as those that come from a better situation, which had nothing to do with them personally, just what you were born into. You know, some of us are just born into poverty. And so that's the main goal, is to give those kids opportunities. And it's so many random acts, you know what I mean? Turkey drives, feeding the homeless. My main thing is the youth, though, being able to mentor them, sending kids to prom every year, sponsoring Black History plays, making sure they get uniforms for school, just being able to take a little bit of burden of the parents away and just help them any way that's possible.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I mean, in all honesty, man, I mean, it's very admirable. You know what I'm saying? Like to be able to sit back and think outside of yourself. I think in this day and age that we in, is very, you know, I'm gonna get mine, my family gonna get theirs.
Definitely.
And then if I got something to give, I'll look at the community. And so when I see the things that you've been able to do, I'll be honest, it impacts me. And I think one of the things too that was huge was, I mean, even when was it, a few weeks ago when Cap was out here too. Did you go up to Flowery Branch, or did you just?
No, I didn't go to Flowery Branch. Actually, I was working at the time, and a friend of mine was at Flowery Branch, and he called me and was like, "Bro, what you got going on? I think they about to move the workout." And I was like, "Well, why are they move?" I didn't understand the dynamics of what was going on up there at the time, and so he was like, "Man, I don't know, but I think they're about to move it to a high school in Riverdale." And I was like, "Okay." I got off work at like 3 o'clock when it was supposed to start in Flowery Branch. I was like, "So what time they gonna start?" I got a little inquisitive, and I was like, "All right, 4:30. I can make that." I was like, and then the irony of it was like, the school that he did it at, I actually partner with that school on a lot of projects.
Wow.
So it was funny because like one of the dude who's like the most popular teacher at the school is a huge supporter of the Smart Foundation. And last year we do a thing called suits for graduation. And everything's about giving young men a head start.
Yeah.
And so what we did was give them their first tailored suits for graduating high school. So it was just another project that I just came up with and was like, you know what if we can give 5-10 kids, you know what I'm saying, their first tailored suit as they graduate, so that they can have something when they get into those business fields, or maybe they have a class where they need to dress up shirt and tie or something like that, or if they're going on interviews, just to give them a head start. So the irony of it was that it was at the same exact school that I was at in May for their graduation, and like I knew a lot of kids that were out there, and especially the teacher, he ended up pulling up on me too.
Oh, that's what's up. So you're out here. You got your jersey and everything. Cap is coming over, and just tell me a little bit about that interaction.
It's funny, man. Like I ain't gonna lie to you, I'm around celebrities on a regular basis because one of my friends is a rapper. But I'm gonna be honest, I had a little starstruck moment with Cap, bro, and it was weird. But I think because I was already fighting for the causes beforehand. Yeah. So when he stood up and took a leadership role within those causes, I really took a different approach and a different it touched me differently than any other situation. And so when I actually, got into that space, it was like, wow. Like if you see the video that I posted on my when he signed my jersey, I'm just like, I'm like, Wow. Like, because it's been so long and we've been fighting this fight, and then I've had so many arguments and so many debates about his situation where I feel like he might as well be family at this point, you know? Like, I've been fighting for bro like he my big brother or something. Like, bro, like, I'm arguing with everybody about the situation. So I really had a little moment. I was like, dang, like, I really got to get that jersey framed. So it's it was a moment for me to just like sit back and just grasp it. And in the back of my mind, it's funny because I'm thinking in the back of my mind, like, you gonna see me again, my friend. Like, we gonna cross paths later on in life. But
I mean, because it was so crazy because so I went up to Flowery Branch,
okay.
and when I got up there, you know, it was some of the older black cats arguing with, you know, some of these. I guess they MAGA fans or whatever.
That's an interesting part of town that y'all.
Yeah.
That's not the.
And so they was just going back and forth, and they was having a very interesting conversation. Meanwhile, when in the midst of one of the dudes arguing, he said, "Hey, I know where they going to practice at." He gave me the address, and my wife was working that weekend. I had my daughter with me, and so I was like, "Well, I might as well pull up. I mean, what do I have to lose?" And so one of my reporter friends, he said, "Hey, man, we on our way down now. If you're making the time, you can walk in with us." So we walked in with them.
So the reporter friend wasn't at Flowery Branch.
No, he was, but he left early.
Oh,
So
okay.
by the time I
Okay.
got to Flowery Branch,
Gotcha.
I had missed him too.
Gotcha.
And so
Okay.
he was on the phone with one of the NFL execs, and so he was getting up to date information, you
Yeah.
know. And so as he's walking through, I was like, "Hey, bro, come on, let me walk in with you." And so
I didn't even know you was out there at the time until
I
I
didn't
saw
know
it
either,
late.
'cause
Right? Yeah.
I was
I was just at the gate
everybody-
like.
I was
Okay,
like,
cool.
you could have rolled in with us.
Yeah, I had somebody else. It was two other people I knew that was actually on that side,
Yeah.
but I had in that moment I knew nothing of it, so I was just like, man, I'm just here. I just want to see the workout and just being as a supporter and really
Yeah.
just embrace that because I think that we're in a historic moment with him. You know what I mean?
I mean, he's Muhammad Ali, bro. Like,
pretty
real
much,
talk.
pretty much.
He's Muhammad Ali. Like,
Yeah.
And Nike knew it. That's why they gave him the $40-something million contract. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's the thing. People who've seen the civil rights movement, they know what's happening.
But it's like I don't understand how so many people act as if they didn't see the civil rights movement. Or do you mean like people that lived within that time?
I mean, people that live within that time, people who are well read on history, they know what's gonna happen.
Right.
You can see it.
Right.
Like, I mean, here's the thing that people got to realize: whenever it comes to transformative moments, you are never speaking to the present. You're speaking to the future. You know what I'm saying? And so when they look back, what are they gonna see? Like, our kids, they gonna grow up like Cap is gonna be their Superman. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
that's what it is. And that's why I was so appreciative. Like, I got to give a shout out to Nessa, man, because they weren't letting anybody near Cap. And she walked right past me, and I said, "Hey, would it be okay if my daughter takes a picture with Cap?"
Play the sympathy card.
And she said, "Come on." And we got onto the bus with Cap, sat down, we talked for a little while, took the picture with my daughter, and I was just like, man, because,
Yeah.
I mean, think about it, man. What is that? She may not remember all of that stuff.
Did you see that the little thing that went viral the other day where they had the babies with they took a baby picture with a celebrity and then they were showing who they are now? Did you see that? It was on Twitter. It went viral. Like that's one of those moments where your daughter have that and then they be like, "This is me then," and this is like they had a whole thing.
Oh, really?
That went
And
viral.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt.
Somebody had
in
a
my
picture of
mind.
Rosa Parks.
Oh, really?
That's how it started.
Yeah, I remember that.
I was like, how did you get a picture of Rosa Parks?
Yeah,
Like,
but see, I mean, that's the stuff that people don't realize. Like, these moments are big.
Yeah.
And the people who understand the magnitude of these moments are capitalizing right now, which is Nike. Because think about it, right? John Carlos and what was the other guy's name? The black guys that ran in the Olympics and they stood on the podium with their fist in the air and they got blackballed. But ESPN is giving them the Medal of Courage. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody that's seen this stuff knows when it comes back full
But that's
circle.
what bothers me about the situation. It's like there wasn't enough support for it. And I felt like this was our first awakening or our first trip into the civil rights in our generation. And you always hear those people saying, what I would have did if I was a slave or if I was there in
They
Jim
wouldn't
Crow.
have done nothing. They wouldn't have done
And I'm
nothing.
saying, looking
They
at it,
ain't
bro,
doing
you
nothing
can't
now.
even turn off a football game, bro. You
Yeah.
can't even discipline yourself enough to find something else better to do on a Sunday, which as we're doing now, we're being productive. We're doing something different
Yeah.
on a Sunday. But I felt like he did not get the support from the people that he was fighting for. That's what bothered me the most.
But
Because the people he was fighting for didn't support him.
I would argue he did get some support.
He did get some support.
Because, I mean, think about it. This Super Bowl this year that took place in Atlanta, Georgia, was the worst Super Bowl that was viewed on television in 10 years.
Yeah.
That means people, and that's what I keep telling them. Me and G, we got into, we like egging. Well, we don't like egging folks on, but we like checking folks in real time on social media. And one of the guys was saying that black folks should not criticize black politicians in public. And I'm like, but every other person does. Every other group of people do it. Why? Why don't we? Why don't we? So we supposed to be quiet? Meanwhile, I mean, because this is what people got to understand. The majority of black people are still where? In poverty.
Definitely.
The middle class, I would argue the middle class is non-existent.
It depends on how you classify it. I think,
I think we at a level now where it's folks, it's the have and have nots. Like that middle class is like this. Like I'm serious, bruh. I'm serious.
I mean, I think it depends on where where we are, because I think a lot of our.
How much does a house in Atlanta cost?
You're gonna hit six figures. You're gonna be around. I mean, it depends on what type. You know what I'm saying? What area? Like it all comes into play. What area of town you living in, things like that. So you gonna be in the low end, 75 to 100,000. On the high end, you can go as high as possible.
But where's 75 to 100,000 at?
Like I said, on the outskirts. You won't find that within the city limits, but you'll find that in like a Riverdale, like a Douglasville, Camp Creek-ish, you know what I'm saying? Probably some DeKalb, maybe. Just depends on how far out within the 285, because Atlanta's a weird structure with the 285 loop. But on the outskirts of the loop, you don't think you find like Cobb County, maybe? I mean, I don't know. I think you can get something.
I mean, I just think everything's shooting up.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you got to think about it. Some folks are getting pushed so far out. It's like a 2-hour drive to work for them at this point. Like, that's how far out they're getting pushed.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, Cap was taking the knee for all these folks. And that's why I will continue to have so much respect for this dude.
Definitely. I have been on board from day one while he was still in the league. And, I mean, I think if anybody actually pays attention, and I'm so tired of having to say that they've changed the narrative and controlled the narrative to switch it. So, I mean, you can see that from a mile away. And I think if anybody ever has a conversation about his purpose, they can't really deny the fact that what he was doing was right, and they know it.
It's blatant.
But it's always
It's blatant, bruh.
But so it's interesting. And I'm like, it's not a but situation. It's like either it is or it ain't. You knew what his cause was, but y'all allowed Donald Trump to come in and change the narrative and make it about the flag and all this extra stuff, which was just hate speech and just riling up his troops. But I think it always frustrates me to see the somewhat. I think we do get a little bit of support, but not, especially not in Atlanta.
Yeah.
I think you see so much of the rise up every Sunday. You see the tailgating, and I understand having a good time. I'm not for that, but I'm just like, at what point does your integrity value over your morals or your entertainment? You know what I mean? So your morals over your entertainment is what I was trying to say.
Yeah, no. It makes perfect sense. And I think at some point you excuse me, you're gonna have to ask that real question. Because it's so funny, man. I'm watching this show Rhythm and Flow. Have you watched Rhythm and Flow on Netflix? So it's Cardi B, T.I., and Chance the Rapper. Okay. And they're judging and they're trying to find that next top rapper coming out. So they held auditions in New York, Atlanta, L.A. Man, every freestyle battle and every song that's been written up until this point has dealt with what? Police brutality. I'm like, how in the world you doing a nationwide search?
Really?
And everybody rapping about that. They all.
Really? That's actually shocking to me.
I mean, the kids in Chicago, the kids in Chicago were talking about it. The girls in New York were talking about it. The folks in L.A. were talking about it. But my thing is, it's like, let's not act like we haven't heard this before. I mean, NWA, what was their song?
Yeah. And like I said, what's that, 30 years from now? Or 30 years ago, pretty much? And so I think, like I said, this is a different generation that has to go through this a civil rights era. I think that generation was like almost in the cusp or the end portion because it was like 20 years from the 60s. And so I think a lot of them are more, they grew up in that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you grew up in the 60s, then you were kind of becoming an adult around the late 80s, and your mindset was that fight to power. You know what I mean? And that was, and actually Nipsey said we don't have that type of music anymore. Those type of anthems, like the fuck Donald Trump was something that YG did, and that, you know what I mean, that type of protest music is needed. You know what I mean, to give those anthems, because you know it rejuvenates people and it gives them something to really catch on to and be.
Yeah.
People are cliquish.
Yeah.
You don't want to be a part of the in crowd. You know what I mean? And so that was my whole thing. Is like we have to make what we're doing, you know, positively, protesting wise, community wise. Those are cool things to do. You know what I mean? And then and the masses, is weird that it's not looked at like that. But
and I think we need guys like you who understand that there's a gap. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Who
Right.
says, you know, what can I create that is going to give that next generation of folks some type of leverage? Because
Definitely.
that's what it comes down to, is how do you create leverage? Whether it's a business, whether it's a nonprofit, it's being able to create something that's going to create leverage. And so, because I tell people all the time, you know, because I think the minute you bring up Cap or you bring up anybody else, folks want to jump on, oh, you're anti-police or you're anti-this. It's not about being anti-anything. It's about understanding that there's a history of pain in this country.
right.
And until we fully acknowledge that and address it, it's not going anywhere. Because again, I mean, Cap took Cap took a knee on something that the NWA was talking about. And I mean, when you think about how wide the time span of that is, it's like, man, y'all ain't done nothing about this yet. We haven't had any serious conversations about this yet. Like,
And that's the thing. People don't really like to have those uncomfortable conversations. It's kind of been something where it's been swept under the rug, and you can't really make a situation better until you address the problem, get to the root of the problem,
almost definitely.
and really have those kind of uncomfortable conversations from both sides. And that's one of the things we try to do, is just try to connect the dots and try to be relatable with everybody, because at some point in this process, I feel like we're dehumanized on both sides. I feel like a lot of people who police these areas, they don't connect with the areas, so they don't look at you like they could see their son.
Yeah.
You don't take that same approach, or your relative. You know what I mean? Your mindset is different,
Yeah.
and that's why you get the fear for your life concept. So often it's like, really, what were you afraid of? Like, if that was your brother, your son, somebody that was really close to you, you wouldn't handle that situation the same way that you did. And so I think it's being able to have those conversations. And like I said, I'm definitely not anti-police. I'm actually for more young black men going into policing. Just because you have to have those people that make it humanize each other. If you have a coworker that you spend a lot of time with, then you kind of look at them a little bit more like, oh, one of us. You know what I mean? I think you have that blue code, and it's such a separation between the two, and the separation between, you know, us and the community. I mean, the community and the police officers, because we don't see them as us as either. So it's like it's a
Oh, that's facts.
it's a versus, you know what I'm saying? Instead of it's a us thing, it's like they're one against each other. And so I think that's huge to understand, and to be able to have people that connect on both sides, because it helps the relationships. And everything is about communication and having a relationship. If you can really talk to somebody and really embrace them and sympathize with them, just understand their pain. Just understand, like, I feel like our generation doesn't even sympathize with other people. Unless we feel it directly, then it's like, oh my God, it's my world crumbling.
Yeah.
But you see someone else go through it, and you really don't care, and you act as if it doesn't affect you. I'm like, these are random acts. These aren't, you know, people that thought, oh, instigating or something like that. These are random acts of police brutality that can happen to anybody at any moment. And I hate the fact that we act like we don't understand that. That's always been a problem for me.
Almost definitely. So, man, what are and I've been meaning to ask you this, and this is a question I want to ask you. What does it mean to leave a legacy for you?
It's everything. The whole thing about behind my brand or beyond my brand, you know, tagline that in there.
Appreciate it.
But for real, it's the impact to have something built for your family structure, to be that game changer within your family, to take you from the projects or take you from middle class and just be able to take the next step. And, you know, if you look about it and you think, like you said, some people maybe just think in the moment, but unfortunately, I've experienced death several times, and I've been to several funerals of maybe way too much and kind of numb to a lot of those things at this point. But I feel like I want to have an impact that lasts 50 years from now. Like if you can be in those conversations and of the greats, you know what I mean, of the Malcolm X, of the Martins, and how do you work that hard? Like I don't think anything I do, I'm pretty much competing with anyone now. I'm competing with history. I always hashtag chasing greatness. Like I really want to be great. And you know, one time it hit me. I was at we did an MLK Day parade or something like that, and I was sitting on his steps, and I was like, "Do you know how great you got to be for your whole neighborhood to be a nationally historic site? The whole neighborhood, not your house, not one monumental thing that you touched. You know, all those things are in every museum around the world, but your entire neighborhood that you just walked around, all these other houses that they had nothing is historic, and that mindset is just what I've always taken with me. Is like I want to build something that lives forever. I want to build a brand that lasts for generations. I want to build something that has an impact and that encourages our community to do something positive. I think a lot of other great leaders had that mindset, and it may not have necessarily been portrayed, or they were killed before they got to put their message out there to that extent that they wanted to have a positive impact. What I mean by that is like a Huey Newton or a Tupac Shakur, where their brands were actually for positivity, and you know, unfortunately, they didn't have the narrative to control it. But those people, along with Malcolm X, are my biggest influences on what I do. And I think, you know, when you're challenging yourself to be great, you're looking in a different perspective of life.
Yeah, I mean, because I sit back and I think, like I look at what Ice Cube's been able to do with his life, and I wonder, man, what could Tupac have done? Because Tupac was on the cutting edge. He was already writing scripts.
Right.
He was already talking about owning a record label, already talking about owning a movie label. You know what I'm saying?
He was so young.
Yeah, it was so.
He was only 25 too, so it was like
he was so cutting edge.
Right.
You know, and so I think for us, it's you know, I think the thing that hinders our dreams is the environment of chaos, and we have to also understand that this environment of chaos was manufactured. We didn't just create this. It didn't just happen. You know what I'm saying? And so once you understand it, excuse me, once you understand that it was manufactured, you have to understand how do I take this apart? How do I move beyond this? And I think part of that is what you're doing. I mean, think about it, man. 615 turkeys. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, yeah, I agree in a sense. And that's how I think about it in a historic context of how we embrace and how we have an impact. You know what I mean? Like, I think whatever you do monetarily won't, you know, it can help, but unless you're doing generational wealth and things like that, then that really doesn't matter. But I think you have to have that impact in the world that really says, you know, we can't, or whenever you go that your death inspires people. I think the most powerful thing I saw this year was the Nipsey Hussle situation. Yeah. Like to watch that funeral and them to drive him through the whole city of Los Angeles. Like if you go out, that's how you go out. You know what I mean?
I think on the flip side, if you go out, what do you want to be inspired by it? You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
Like I wouldn't want to, like for me, in order for Nipsey's death to mean something, we got to have a couple more rappers from LA come out and start doing what he was doing. You know what I'm saying? Really building that infrastructure, because that's where stuff really starts, in my opinion, really starts to catch fire. Because these kids got to see it. I mean, think about it, right? I just think, you know, when it comes to other kids, they've had so many more examples outside of basketball player, football player, rapper, actor, celebrity, entertainer. You know what I'm saying? Whereas for us, you got to fight to find those images of Charles Drew. You know what I'm saying? You got to fight to find those images of what was his name, George Washington Carver. You got to fight, like, because if you ain't picking up a book, you ain't reading about these folks.
Right.
They're not making movies. I mean, we just got a Harriet Tubman movie.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Definitely. I think, you know, but see, that goes back into imagery, and that goes into what makes what you guys are doing so powerful, and why I would love to be on board, because whoever controls the images controls the minds. Mm-hmm. And so the media plays a part in it, and the media has always been controlled by the other side, or the white power infrastructure. And so they're not putting out stories that want to that want us to be put on the pedestal. You know, that want to empower us, that want us to think that we're better, that make us feel like we're the kings that we are.
Yeah.
And so I think when you're in the media, and that's one thing I've been trying to embrace, because it's not necessarily my comfort zone to be out in the forefront. I'm more so way comfortable behind the scenes, just getting the work done. But when I start to understand the historic context of it, and you have to, have the imagery, you have to be able to put out those messages that can connect to the masses.
Yeah.
And so once you have that outlet, then you have a way of organizing and becoming bigger. And I think that's the thing what we have to understand is to control our own narratives. And that's one thing I'm really huge on. But being behind the scenes, now I'm kind of getting a little bit more comfortable on camera and being around it. But I've always wanted to understand how to control the imagery, because, like you said, we don't have enough of our positive leaders. I mean, everything that you see on TV now is a reality show, where you got adults 40, 50 years old cursing and acting like they high school kids. And so that's the stigma that we're walking around with as black people, you know what I mean? And people look at it as entertainment, but I'm like, you can't find something else that entertains you, or you can't produce a better show than that in a positive light. You can't produce a new Cosby Show, My Wife and Kids, something that has humor, entertaining, but also a positive spin on a black family. I hate that most of our media content now is destroying the black family and the next generation. That's what they look up to. It's like you don't have too many role models to really look up to, that especially outside of entertainment, that and that's a thing with creating a path that we were talking about earlier, is like, there's so many opportunities that they don't even know about, that they don't even know exist. You know what I mean? Like when we had when Trouble was shooting a video shoot in the Bluff, and the Def Jam camera crew came, just for those kids to just play with the cameras, and that inspired one of the ladies to say she wanted to actually start a nonprofit that did that. And she was just, it's like the kids were just so in tune with it and having so much fun with it, but they never experienced that before. And so therefore, out of that can bring a Stephen A. Smith. You know what I'm saying? Like something in that lane where you don't even know how to get into it.
But I think too is, so if we really want to do that and we want to do it at a high level, it has to come down to ownership.
Of course.
Yeah,
of course.
We don't own enough of these platforms to do that, because the minute we say something that's contradictory to their thought,
of course,
that rug is pulled from under us.
100%.
And so we've got to build platforms that we can speak freely, but also, because the reality is people can say what they want to say, but the reality is, and this is why they had to put affirmative action in, is because white people typically do business with white people, Hispanics typically do business with Hispanics, and blacks typically do business with blacks. You know what I'm saying? And for us, until we start creating leverage, because that's all creating businesses and nonprofits and all these things, it's just creating leverage. Until you create that leverage and build your own table to where people got to come and sit at your table.
Right.
And that's why I said because, man, people will tell me about this whole network. I got tired of doing this networking game. Nah, man, let me build something to where y'all can come and sit down and see me. Let me go out here and do something.
You got to have ownership. I think that's the end all goal with every situation. You know what I mean? I think, and like you said, creating leverage, I don't think most of us understand our leverage. And we have so much leverage currently, and we're just in a hopeless mind state of not knowing our power and not being informed.
Dollars we spend annually.
Exactly. That's our biggest leverage. But the thing is, we don't have a game plan. Mm-hmm. And we're not organized in that manner, and we're not taught that infrastructure to buy black. You know what I'm saying? It's the cool thing. It's starting to get a little trendy at this point, but that's why I think this generation is the information age where we can really change a lot.
Yeah.
Because we're in that age where we understood what happened previously and we can see what's coming. So we're in a big transition right now, and I think we have to own everything. We have to be able to control our own content. We have to be able to say what we want to say. We have to even be able to create jobs. And that's the biggest thing with anything that I do, is trying to make sure that it is something we own and that we support, you know what I mean? Because if we just circulated our money within our community, we'd all be rich. Yeah. And so it's the thing where people don't really even understand the power of the black dollar.
But not even that, right? So you start controlling your own content, your own platforms. Now you control what? You control advertising. So instead of these folks like, let's just say McDonald's, instead of you coming over here showing these daggone Big Macs and these 2-for-2s and all this stuff, nah, show us your healthier options. Show us, put salads on there, put these fruit cups. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like we can change that narrative when different car dealerships want to advertise. Show us your affordable options. We don't want y'all showing us these cars that we can't afford. These
Right.
cars that are going to continue to hold us in debt. Show us these cars that we can afford. You know what I'm saying? That are fiscally responsible for us. Like, to me, that's changing the narrative. It has to be a full scope initiative, because if it's not a full scope initiative, what happens? We right back where we started.
Right. And that's why I say it goes back to planning.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's a
I
lot
agree
of
with you.
different people um, who have these conversations and who have the outlook on what we should do. But now it's just about implementing this, you know what I'm saying, and executing these plans to where we can open up more opportunities for other people. And
Yeah.
that's the name of the game. Like, once you stop having to rely on other people to give you a job, you can create jobs and help other people that need jobs. Then that puts you in a powerful position, and that's a part of a legacy where if you put somebody in a better position in life and it changed their whole life around, that legacy will live forever.
Yeah.
Because you help not only just them individually, but able to help their family, and most importantly, help your family. So that's
Yeah.
my biggest thing. Like, I want the Smart Foundation to be something that my
Mm.
family has, well, beyond my years, and I
Mm.
want us to be able to create a brand of different entities under that one umbrella,
Mm.
where anybody that I know, like, I really want to help, even with the referral business, like you were saying, advertising. I would only advertise black-owned businesses. You know what I mean? Like, that's just my thing. Like, that's who I want to see win. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I want to allow you to have my brand or my following to say, hey, these people do good work. Now, you got to do good work. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
another thing. You got to have the quality of work. I'm not just going to just do it because, you black, but the quality of work, the quality of customer service. I have a endeavor I'm trying to get off the ground that actually is like a referral. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? To everyone that has different ideas or different strategies, different brands, different entities, and I can put them all on one thing and say, look, if you need this, and that, I can find the person for you. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? That's helping you. That is a good person. That has quality work. And I think we have to have more of that, of working together and circling our dollars back around and making sure that we do put back into the ownership of our community.
Oh man, I agree. I agree, man. Look at you dropping them jewels.
I
Them
try to do a
jewels,
little
all
bit,
that
man.
facts and
I
information.
tried, man. I try, man.
Well, look, man. We're gonna get ready to roll out here, but what's the one thing that you want to leave our audience with today?
um, the one thing I want to leave the audience with is just to believe in yourself
Mm.
and understand that if you really want it, you can really put the work into creating anything you want to. And it doesn't take a lot. We talk about legacy, and I think it becomes with planning and structure and discipline of yourself.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is whatever your dreams are, take an hour or two a day. I know everybody isn't an entrepreneur just yet, but dedicate a little bit of that TV time, a little bit of that scrolling time on Instagram to bettering yourself, to maybe watching something on YouTube that can educate you on a
Mm.
different proposition, a different entity that you can grow within, and try to figure out what you're passionate about and what you can own and what you can leave behind for your family.
Oh boy, big facts, big facts. Hey y'all, Scotty Smart of the Smart Foundation. His brother's making big changes, not just in the A, not just in the Southeast, but worldwide. Keep tuning in, keep following this brother, and we're gonna continue to showcase it as well. And I just want to thank y'all for tuning in. Again, I'm Dante Carter with Beyond the Brand. Hey, we'll see y'all next time.